Today, apparently we talk enough rubbish without having someone else join in. Well, joining me today for our review of the Sunday newspapers, the leading Conservative MP David Davis, plus the writer and broadcaster, and most importantly today, South African Sue McGregor. Now, the health service is in the news. You could almost say it is the news. We've had stories on Alzheimer's care, on maggots in dirty GP surgeries, delays at A&E, and today details of a really big plan to turn the NHS into a 24/7 operation, so it is not on a go slow at weekends. Well, Sir Bruce Keogh, the head of the NHS in England, is here to explain how you do that without flushing precious money down the drain. It will cost £2 billion, we're told. In today's papers, there is the row over airport expansion. This is the Independent here. So the Transport Secretary, Patrick McLaughlin, will fill us in on whether the government is changing its mind on Heathrow. Also with us, Shadow Business Secretary Chuka Amuna can tell us whether the polls are rattling Labour. As the economy recovers, so does the government's standing, it seems. But we need some Christmas cheer too, so we bring you some behind-the-scenes insight into this season's blockbuster, the latest Hobbit movie. Its star has been telling me how CGI might one day replace actors altogether.
They can do so much. Of course, it's only a matter of time before they rub us out, I guess.
Plus some great music right here in the studio from one of my favourite musicians, the wonderful Jamie Cullum. First, as always, the news, and it comes from Naga Munchetty.
Jeremy, thank you. Good morning. The former South African president, Nelson Mandela, is being laid to rest at his boyhood home of Kunu in the Eastern Cape. The public part of the funeral ceremony is taking place inside a specially constructed giant white marquee with around 4,500 mourners. Senior politicians and a number of foreign dignitaries, including Prince Charles, are paying their last respects. From South Africa, Peter Biles reports.
On a perfect summer morning, they came to honour South Africa's greatest son, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, the man who once declared, "The struggle is my life." Thousands of members of the armed forces are on duty to ensure that this global event passes off without incident. Inside the Grand Marquee in Kunu, the coffin was followed by Mr. Mandela's family and closest friends. A former comrade from the prison days on Robben Island said Madiba had gone to join the A-team of the ANC.
The last time I saw Madiba alive is when I visited him in hospital. I was filled with an overwhelming mixture of sadness, emotion, and pride. He tightly held my hand. It was profoundly heartbreaking, and it brought all emotions in me.
This is both an emotional reunion and a final goodbye, the like of which South Africa has never seen before.
Hospitals in England will have to improve the care they give at weekends or face costly sanctions under new proposals being put forward by the Medical Director of the NHS, Sir Bruce Keogh. Senior doctors will be expected to provide a 7-day service in order to end higher death rates on Saturdays and Sundays. There are also plans to make urgent diagnostic tests available throughout the week. Ireland is to emerge officially from its 3-year international bailout programme today. It means that the Irish government can borrow again on the international money markets instead of depending on loans from the IMF or EU. The country still has huge debts, but there are signs of improvement, with growth forecast at about 2% next year. And China says that its unmanned spacecraft has begun exploring the lunar surface hours after the robotic vehicle landed on the moon. Yesterday, it became the first country to land a probe on the moon in nearly 4 decades. It will spend 3 months gathering scientific data. The country has an ambitious space program and says it eventually plans to put a Chinese astronaut on the moon. That's all from me for now. I'll be back with the headlines just before 10 o'clock. Now, time to get back to you, Jeremy.
Naga, thank you. The government's about to take delivery of a report on airport expansion. Most people think it needs to happen, but where? During the last election, the Prime Minister toured constituencies in West London and said there definitely would not be a third runway at Heathrow. Now it seems that option will be recommended, and so the question is whether the government says no or performs the aerial equivalent of a U-turn. The man in the hot seat is the Transport Secretary, Patrick McLaughlin, and he joins me now from our Derby studio. So, looks like it's Heathrow then.
No, I don't think it does look like it's Heathrow at all. What we did just over 12 months ago when I became Secretary of State for Transport was we asked Howard Davis to set up a commission. That commission will report with an interim report this week, and will come out with its final report in 18 months' time.
Sure, but the Prime Minister at the last election said no ifs, no buts, no Heathrow expansion. You even put it in your manifesto. So I'm presuming that Heathrow and the third runway is off the table.
Well, what was on the table before was that the Labour Party were committed to building a third runway at Heathrow. What has happened since we've set up the Davis Commission is all the parties, Gatwick Airport, Stansted Airport, the Mayor of London, have come forward with different proposals. Heathrow themselves have come up with many different proposals actually for what should happen at Heathrow. They've come forward with 3 different options as to what might be possible at Heathrow.
But they're all Heathrow.
And I think it's right that we haven't... Sorry?
They're all Heathrow. Everything's got a bit of Heathrow in it, yeah. And you've ruled it out. That's what I'm saying.
No, I said Heathrow Airport themselves had come up with 3 different options. We haven't ruled anything out. We've asked the Commission to look at this problem, a problem which has been developed, problem which has been caused for aviation capacity for the last 10, 12 years while it's been discussed. Everybody has come forward with very different proposals, and we'll see what the Commission says this week. And then we've got to also listen to what other people are saying as well. So we've got to take very important considerations of the environmental consequences of any of the proposals which may come forward.
But your colleague Zach Goldsmith, MP in Richmond, said that if you go for Heathrow after all this, it will be, I quote, an off-the-scale betrayal. He said the Prime Minister will never be forgiven in West London. That'll probably make you laugh in Derby, but he might mind that.
Well, look, the Prime Minister takes the points about the environment incredibly serious. The whole government takes the points about the environment very serious, and we will want to look at it. But what's very important is actually we plan for the long-term future of the United Kingdom. If we're going to compete in a global race, if we're going to have the right long-term future for the United Kingdom, we must make sure this country is not left behind. And that's why, you know, we'll look at what Boris Johnson has been putting forward, what Gatwick Airport's put forward, what Stansted's put forward, what Heathrow's put forward. There are lots of different options that are available for us. What's important, both for the government and indeed as far as the Commission is concerned, is we come forward with the right long-term answer for this problem, which has been around for some time.
Heathrow is back on the table.
The whole question of aviation capacity is back on the table for the longer term future. I think one of the things that will be clear once we've seen the report from Howard Davis is that it's not an immediate problem. It is something that we've got to get right. We've got the time to get it right. And that's what we're doing. It's a long-term solution for the best of the United Kingdom. Aircrafts themselves are changing quite a lot. They are becoming quieter. They're becoming more fuel efficient. So it is right that we judge the whole environmental aspects and get the right solution for the United Kingdom, not just for London, but for the United Kingdom as a whole.
I'm sorry to keep throwing this Heathrow thing at you, but because it was in your manifesto, because you specifically ruled it out, because the Prime Minister ruled it out when he toured West London, and because Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London, says that if you bring it back in, it's scandalous, I just want to be absolutely clear that it is back in as an option despite everything you've said.
We've set up a commission to look at the long-term future of the whole of aviation for the South East. That is what the Davis Commission is doing. What we said at the last general election was that we would not build a third runway in this Parliament. We will not be building a third runway in this Parliament. We will stick by our manifesto commitment. But it is right for the long-term future of the United Kingdom. We have a panel of experts who have widely been regarded as doing a proper and comprehensive job and I want to see what their interim report is on this week, and their final report in 18 months' time, and then we'll be able to say which is the right way to go forward.
And maybe go through for Heathrow in the long term.
Well, you seem more obsessed about Heathrow than I am. I want the Commission to look at all the options in the South East. Okay. Well, indeed they are, but let's wait and see what the Commission say in the longer term.
All right, thank you very much indeed for joining us this Sunday morning. Patrick McLaughlin from Derby. Nice to see you. Now, we go on to the papers, and with our guests David Davis and Sue McGregor, let's have a look at the front pages for today and see what's cooking here. Sunday Times, we'll talk about the weekend NHS care shortly with the man who runs the health service, and EU migrants we'll discuss as well in this programme. The Observer, Ofsted chief declares war on grammar schools. Mandela mourning as well, front page, still with a funeral today. Sunday Telegraph reports here another transport story, actually. HS2 report that ministers want to hide, raising doubts about the whole HS2 project. And the Mail, number 10, plan to cap benefit at 2 children. That's a child benefit story. More papers in front of us here. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Sue, let me start with you and South Africa.
I've picked up on the Sun on Sunday, actually. Inevitably, all the papers have quite a lot about the funeral and what went on earlier in Johannesburg. But this is inevitably out of date. We've been watching live the funeral taking place in, do I dare try the click? Kunu.
Well done.
Not very well done in the Eastern Cape. But the headline over the Sun story is Mandela home as Tutu rages at snub, Archbishop not invited to funeral. Well, we do know this morning that Archbishop Tutu was there, but it's very interesting and perhaps significant that Archbishop Tutu felt that he had not been invited, because it shows how riven some of the upper echelons of the ANC are. And Tutu has come out of this rather well, I think. He's come out as somebody who's prepared to criticise the ANC. And we remember that President Jacob Zuma was booed in the stadium in Soweto. So watch this space, I think.
Yeah, the booing was remarkable, wasn't it? Just took over the whole stadium.
Yes, and it was a rather, dare I say it, at this late stage, shambolic event, sadly, because some grand things were there and some wonderful people were saying good things, but it was too long, it was very wet, which they couldn't help. But this seems to have gone so far like clockwork in Kunu.
Closer to home, David Davis, and the story I mentioned, the child benefit idea.
Yes, big story, front page of the Mail. This is one of the issues that's going to be a big issue in the run-up to the next election. The whole question of welfare generally, the demand really from the economic demands to cut the size of the welfare budget, and this is a highly contentious one. The idea of cutting all benefits beyond 2 children. And it's a kite-flying exercise. It's clearly, I mean, the number 10 thing, this is actually, it's an article written by Nadim Zahawi, but he's a man who's in high regard by number 10. So what's going on here, I think, is the government, the Conservative Party, are trying to see whether this is popular. I think it probably will be, because people do want to see us be tougher about welfare.
And they've got some huge amount they think they'll save with that.
There was another floating around, 12 billion at some point, but you know, that doesn't relate to this. This is much smaller than that. But this whole area, the welfare toughening up so far, tightening up so far, has been very popular and actually very effective. And this will be one which will, I think, divide the parties.
Sue, we're going all over the place here. The China moon landing.
Well, yes, all the papers have got that. The rabbit has landed, Rabbit Jade. One wonders, of course, four decades after Neil Armstrong made it to the moon, why the Third World is spending so much of its money on this. And we know that it's about prestige. But on the other hand, one can think of an awful lot, particularly in India's case, of other things that the money could be better spent on. But the rabbit has landed safely, and meanwhile Iran has sent up another monkey into space, different objectives. One hopes it's the right monkey coming back, because last time, a few months ago when they sent one up, everyone accused...
A stand-in monkey.
There was a stand-in. It wasn't quite the same looking monkey as it came back. But Europe needn't feel left out of this moon landing story, because the Independent on Sunday has one about, they headline it, "One Small Hop for Mankind," referring to the rabbit. But it seems that a European Greek researcher, indeed Mr. Karapantsios, has discovered that if astronauts are given food made from raw potatoes, which is lightly fried and keeps its crispiness, chips are likely to be the most popular food for astronauts. Oh dear. Think of their waistlines.
Doesn't sound right, does it? At all.
It's not clear to me whether they're going to cook them in space either.
This is not made at all clear. After that film Gravity, of course, anything can go on in space, including cooking chips.
You
probably.
don't want a chip pan fire in space, you're right. David, you've got... Now, let's go to this EU immigration story, which we'll talk about later with Duke Ramuna. The Bulgarians, Romanians coming here from January the 1st.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's happened for people who've not been following the story, the one or two people, on January the 1st, the accession period comes to an end for Bulgaria and Romania, and they then have free movement of people. They've got the same rights of movement as anybody else in Europe. And huge fears that there will be thousands, tens of thousands, if you believe UKIP, hundreds of thousands of people coming into Britain, and it's become a huge, contentious political issue. The government is caught because it doesn't want ab initio to have a fight with the European Union courts and the Commission over it, but that's where it's going. And what this is a story that Theresa May, the Home Office, are looking at a variety of policies to try and bring it under control. Now, I have to say straight away, it's a bit closing the stable door after the horse has bolted, because this is all for the future. The issue in front of us is going to be the 1st of January.
And these 70 MPs who are trying to put down some legislation against, is that you?
Oh, I'm one of the...
I just assumed it was, yeah.
I'm one of the list. What that is an idea that we just say to the European Union, look, this free movement of peoples was not designed for a time when you've got some countries whose average wage is a third of our minimum wage. You know, if you or I were Bulgarian or Romanian, we'd be on the train on January the 1st to get here, because for them, the British economy is riches beyond the dreams of avarice. So it needs to be dealt with straight away. It needs to be dealt with by saying to the European Union, I'm sorry, this can't work. Let's just rethink this. Let's put it off for a couple of years and rethink it.
The January the 1st migration moment can be deferred even at this late stage.
Well, I think it may well be too late now, because the government's put off the bill that this is an amendment to the 70-odd MPs you're talking about. It was an amendment to a bill that's been put off. It was going to be debated this month. I think it's going to be January now. But the simple truth is that it should have been gripped earlier, and it should really have been dealt with, I'm afraid, in fairly strong terms. The Europeans are just sort of shrugging their shoulders. We've had the experience of 13,000 forecast immigrants turning into 1 million or so with the previous expansion of Europe. And that hasn't all been bad, don't get me wrong, but it has meant a lot of young Brits have not had jobs or have not been able to compete, and that's really, really very serious in an economy like ours.
Now, Sue, Mrs. Thatcher and the Queen.
Yes.
We'll never stop talking about this relationship.
I know. I mean, there are at least 2 plays that have been on in London, one of them in the West End, reflecting on this relationship. Now, this is from the Mail on Sunday. Secret letters reveal what Maggie really thought of audiences with the Queen. How do we know this? Well, the Mail on Sunday put forward a Freedom of Information request, and so it's a little ahead of probably what should only be revealed on the 31st of this month. But it shows that the Prime Minister, Mrs. Thatcher, repeatedly rescheduled and cancelled their weekly audiences. This must be absolutely unprecedented. On one occasion, she turned down an audience because she preferred to have drinks with a group of French bankers, but Number 10 officials chose not to explain this. And in another, she declined, wait for it, a generous invitation to a dine and sleep party. Now, that's not just handed out, to anybody, at Windsor Castle, because Dennis had a business engagement the next morning. Well, now, it is not revealed, and probably never will be, what Her Majesty thought about this, but her PPS, I think, said, I think we better stop putting forward these excuses about not being able to meet Her Majesty, because, we might offend dreadfully, and possibly did, who knows.
There are one meeting I'd love to be a fly on the wall, Mrs. Thatcher and the Queen would be something else.
Do you think they might have secretly filmed it? Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't it be something?
All right, you've got a poll there which asks some interesting, strange questions, actually, about the political leaders.
Yes, in your introduction, Jeremy, you were talking about the sort of poll standings of the parties. I don't think you were probably referring to who you want on your quiz team. The public, it would appear, would pick David Cameron for that, or who you'd want to invite to your Christmas dinner. I'm afraid George Osborne, I guess the Scrooge of our age, gets -1 for that. So it's, you know, it's...
Is this a new way of finding out who wins the next election?
Well, it's a new way of getting a sense of how people view the leaders, I think. And actually, Cameron comes out pretty well. Miliband comes out better than you think. Farage comes out well in the things that would happen in a pub, I think. You know, like the quiz team and so on.
Who would you like to spend your Christmas dinner with, Dave?
My own
Of that
family,
lot?
nobody else. None of the above. The other interesting thing, and serious point in this poll, is the standing of UKIP. It's at 18 points against Liberals at 8. And I think the story we were talking about earlier about immigration is going to make that worse from our point of view in the new year.
OK, we've got time for one more each, and I should have mentioned at the beginning, Sunday People, with a story on my wonderful colleague, Susanna Reid.
Oh, she's doing
and you want to talk about her and women
well,
on TV?
I would love to talk about her because I think she's done a fantastic job and she may well win Strictly, yes, next week. But I'd like to just lower the temperature a bit and mention, if I may, because there's very little about it. I had to scratch around about this huge story, in my view. The Independent on Sunday has reflected the execution of King Jong-un's uncle, Jan Song-tek, which has startled the world. It's slightly gone out of the papers, but the Independent on Sunday has got a former British ambassador, John Everard, to write a little piece about it. I mean, he points out this will be the very first time that many North Koreans have learnt officially of heresy at the top of their regime. They were brought up to believe that Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il were infallible geniuses, but they gave their trust to a man who was no better than a dog. This is the man who was taken out and machine-gunned a moment after he was found guilty. There's a reign of terror happening in North Korea, it would seem, and I think it's very, very worrying for the West.
Thank you both for doing our papers this morning. Sue McGregor, David Davis, MP. Yeah. Well, just 10 days till Christmas.